Hey everyone, Pastor Caleb here with another Driving Theology video on my drive home from work on this Thursday. I'm thinking about the phrase, taking myself too seriously. I remember when I was growing up, and even not just in my childhood, but in my growing up years of being a pastor in different congregations that I served, I remember one of the refrains of the ministry people that I worked with, whether they were called workers or just lay people, was that we didn't take ourselves too seriously. I did say, we care a lot about Jesus, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. I was meditating on that phrase because when you don't take yourself too seriously, there's a tendency that other people will not take you seriously. Now, I understand what probably most of those ministry leaders and pastors meant. What they were trying to say is that my faith is not ultimately about me. It's not about whether I am a good person or not. It is ultimately about Jesus, and I am totally sympathetic to that. That is our faith. That is our hope. But I fear that the idea of not taking ourselves too seriously has seeped into the church in a different way. That it's not that we don't take ourselves too seriously in regard to our faith or our works as they regard our faith in salvation, but that we don't actually take being a Christian seriously. See, the cultural narrative around us is telling us that you need to not take yourself too seriously. I mean, think about it. Is there maybe a greater insult to a person to say that guy, other than to say that guy takes himself really seriously? I mean, in our culture, you might as well call somebody a Nazi when you say that they take themselves too seriously. Maybe the only worst thing is to say he has no sense of humor. And I think that is telling about our culture. Our culture is addicted to what I might call infantile pleasures. We just like to laugh, and we just like to not really care about stuff. And we really like to just sort of ignore the fact that the world is a serious business. I mean, do you resonate with that? I'm all for having fun. Jesus is king. Jesus is alive. And I am blessed to be part of his body and to partake of his forgiveness every week. And that means that I am already seeing the results of the joy that is set before me because of Jesus' work. I'm all for having fun. I also realize that we live as the church militant in a world that hates us and wants to destroy our faith. And we also live in a world where God has given us the express mission of going to bring this gospel message that has changed our lives to other people. And I fear that if we have an attitude of, we don't take ourselves too seriously, then no one else is going to take us seriously. People look at us and see us as people who believe a faith that is essentially a carried on Sunday school, grade school like faith into our adulthood, rather than a fully formed, robust way of living as if God had come down and died because my sins were so evil that they would have sent me to hell and nothing less than his death would have paid for it. And that I want to now run as far away from those things as I can and pursue what is true and right and beautiful and good. That I would discipline myself because I have a sinful nature which wants nothing more than to pull my body back into the hell that I was born into. And I want to resist that sin. That my piety, that is living out my faith, is a natural result of believing what I believe. So to say, maybe in conclusion, I do take myself pretty seriously. I'm God's child. I was saved by his death. I was saved because the war for my soul was so vicious that it required God's death. And I want to live like it. And it's a joy. It brings a smile to my face. But it also is something to take seriously. What do you think? Do you think we take ourselves too seriously? Or not seriously enough?